Hey everybody, this is HQ here. This video is about Wes Moore, the Maryland governor who a couple of weeks back was overheard saying that Donald Trump did not invite the Democratic governors to the ball. And that was all of the Democratic governors. And he was the only black governor of the Democratic coalition. And it wasn't because he was black. It was because he didn't invite any of the Democrats. And this is the gentleman here. Now, something happened over in Maryland, and let's listen to Wes.
That everybody has seen the president's tweet about the sewage pipe spill. It is riddled with insults, but it's also riddled with massive inaccuracies. It is worth time to actually be able to correct the record and to talk about accurately what actually happened and what's been done. As you might know, on January 19th of 2026, a section of the Potomac Interceptor sewage line collapsed near the Clara Barton Parkway and I-495. But the president's tweet actually failed to mention a few things. First, that for the past century, the federal government has been responsible for the Potomac Interceptor. The sewage pipe that he is talking about is on federal land. And over these past 4 weeks, the Trump-Vance administration has failed to act. This federal administration has been shirking its responsibilities and putting people's health at risk. The second thing, on Friday, Maryland agencies and DC Water presented a major 2-hour legislative hearing in the Maryland General Assembly and provided updates on the cleanup and also the status of water quality. Trump's EPA was invited, and they refused to attend. Maryland, on the other hand, has stepped up to protect its residents, to protect drinking water, and to ensure accountability. Third, Maryland officials were on site within hours of the leak to do our part to coordinate the response and to ensure that the public was protected. Since the spill occurred, the Maryland Department of the Environment has been monitoring bacteria levels, coordinating with local jurisdictions, and conducting multiple site inspections. MDE issued a precautionary closure to a shellfish harvesting area from Charles County to Route 301, and in coordination with the Maryland Department of Health, counties have issued public health advisories and will track ongoing water quality sampling. Testing shows bacteria levels decreasing over time and significantly lower concentrations farther downstream from the site of the initial spill. So Maryland will continue monitoring and remain engaged throughout the full remediation and continue to partner with leaders in the District of Columbia and the Commonwealth of Virginia as part of our larger coordinated response. We believe in being good neighbors, but to blame Maryland in this, when this is a DC pipe on federal land, is asinine, it is disingenuous, absurd, and politically motivated. If this federal administration wants to show up to take action, Maryland will work collaboratively, as we always do, to be responsive and help to keep our people informed about the plan and to remediate change. But if the president wants me to ask nicely, my response is this: please, Mr. President, do your job.
So what we're watching right now between Governor Wes Moore and the president is not just political theater. It's a collision between infrastructure failure, federal responsibility, and state authority, and 2028 level political positioning. Let's walk through what's going on. The facts. A major section of the Potomac Interceptor sewer line collapsed. That failure sent roughly 243 million gallons of raw sewage into the Potomac. That is not a minor overflow. That is one of the largest environmental failures in the region in years. Raw sewage in a river affects bacteria levels, drinking water, shellfish harvesting areas, public health advisories, and local businesses along the waterfront. Restaurants in Georgetown are already worried about smell, contamination, and lost clients. Now, here's the conflict. Governor Moore is arguing that the pipe in question sits on federal land and that the federal government has long-standing responsibility over that infrastructure. He's saying that Trump administration has failed to act decisively and has chosen instead to blame Maryland publicly. He points to the fact that Maryland agencies responded quickly, monitored bacteria levels, issued shellfish harvesting closures, coordinated health advisories, and participated in legislative hearings. He also notes that Trump's EPA declined to attend one of those hearings. On the other side, the White House says this is gross mismanagement by Moore. Of course. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has said the federal government is prepared to step in because Maryland allegedly neglected the infrastructure. That framing flips the accountability argument. Instead of the federal land and federal pipe responsibility, the White House is suggesting state-level failure and abandonment by Wes Moore. So why is this being handled so aggressively and so publicly? Federal resources were used to maintain this infrastructure, because this is not just about sewage. It's about power, image, and future positioning. Maryland is a deep blue state. President Trump is deeply unpopular there. Polling experts quoted in the reporting say Maryland voters largely support Moore pushing back. That matters. It gives Moore political cover to confront the White House without fearing backlash at home. In fact, it may strengthen him. At the same time, national Democrats are looking for leaders willing to challenge Trump directly. The reporting even hints at something bigger. Moore is viewed by many as a potential future presidential contender. If that's true, then this fight is no longer just about a pipe. It becomes a national branding moment. Go ahead, Wes. Trump's strategy here is also familiar. He often personalizes disputes. He criticized Moore directly on Air Force One. He posted accusations on Truth Social. He did not invite Moore to the White House governor's meeting. To truth be told, he didn't invite any Democrats, and that's never been a partisan thing in the past. Why is it partisan now? Because it's Trump. Trump previously attacked Baltimore and the late Congressman Elijah Cummings during his first term. This fits a pattern. Frame a local issue as evidence of Democratic incompetence, elevate it nationally, and force a confrontation. Oh, Wes is ready for the confrontation. He with it. So Moore's response is calculated as well. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't soften up. He says, President, please do your job. That line is designed to flip the power dynamic. It says you hold the federal authority, use it, stop tweeting, start fixing. Then immigration enters the picture. Moore signed legislation banning 287 agreements, which allow local law enforcement to partner more directly with federal immigration authorities. The White House called that decision despicable. Now, the sewage dispute and the immigration dispute merge into a broader narrative. Trump portraying Moore as soft and incompetent, Moore portraying Trump as politicizing crisis and neglecting responsibility. There is also a real risk underneath the political fight, though. Large projects like the replacement of the Francis Scott Key Bridge depend heavily on federal funding and cooperation. When the relationship between the governor and the White House deteriorates, it creates uncertainty. Even if no direct retaliation occurs, the tension itself can slow communication, approvals, and coordinations. And that doesn't hurt politicians first, it hurts residents. A political scientist, Cromer, makes an important point in the reporting. The back and forth does not fix the sewage problem. Residents and business owners just want it solved. The longer the fight continues, the more it looks like blame is overtaking resolution. So why is it being done this way? Because both sides see the advantage. For Trump, criticizing Moore energizes his base and reinforces his message that Democratic leaders equal disorder and decay. Environmental failure becomes a symbol. For Moore, pushing back strengthens his image among Democrats nationwide as someone who will not bend the knee. That phrase matters. It signals independence and strength to a national audience. But here's the hard truth. Raw sewage in a river does not care about party labels. Bacteria does not vote. Waterfront businesses do not benefit from rhetorical victories. The public ultimately judges leaders on outcomes. If the federal government truly holds responsibility over that infrastructure, then it must act decisively and transparently. If there were state-level oversights contributing to the collapse, that must be acknowledged honestly. Infrastructure across the country is aging, pipes failing. The question is not who can tweet the sharpest line. The question is who can coordinate funding, engineering, environmental remediation, and public communication effectively. This situation also exposes the deeper issue. American infrastructure maintenance is often ignored until catastrophic things happen. Sewer systems are underground and invisible. They don't win elections. They don't make headlines until they rupture. Then suddenly everybody cares about it. The political tension here is amplified because it's occurring in a high-profile blue state with a governor who may have national ambitions and a president who thrives on public confrontation. But beneath the noise is the fundamental governance test. Can federal and state leaders cooperate when public health and environmental safety are on the line? If this turns into a prolonged standoff, the public will eventually grow tired of this spectacle. If one side clearly steps up with tangible progress, repairs completed, contamination reduced, transparent updates, that side will own that narrative. In the end, this battle is about more than sewage or immigration. It's about control, accountability, and leadership style. One approach leans toward confrontation and central authority. The other one leans toward defiance and state-level autonomy. Both are calculating their political futures. But the people living along the Potomac are calculating something much more. When will this be fixed? Please like, share, and subscribe. We have content like this every day. This is HQ.